My name is Phil Williams. You'll hear from me a little bit further into this video, but the purpose of this video is to explain to all of you what the significance of Veterans Day is and Armistice Day. And it's the fact that this is now the 100th anniversary of the conclusion of the Great War of World War I. This coming November, the 11th month of the 11th day. 100 years ago, at the 11th hour, an armistice was signed and concluded war. You will hear from my fellow compatriots of the Sons of the American Revolution what it means to them, what Veterans Day means for them. They are veterans, and what the whole significance is of Veterans Day and Armistice Day and its relationship, which you'll see further in the video, to our French SAR compatriots who invited us earlier this year to commemorate the centennial of the conclusion of the Great War.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I am Staff Sergeant Courtney of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, United States Army, Guard of Honor, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The ceremony that you are about to witness is the changing of the guard. In keeping with the dignity of this ceremony, it is requested that everyone remain silent and standing. Thank you. Guards, halt! Forward, march! Guards, halt! Port, arm! Ready? Face! Present! Arm! Port! Arm! Ready? Pace! Time! On your orders!
Halt! And order. Remain as directed. Orders! Acknowledged.
Ready? Pace! Present! Arm! Right shoulder! Arm! Horse!
My name is Colonel James O'Kelly. I'm a retired Marine from 1965 to 2001. I was a Vietnam veteran. The difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day is that at Memorial Day, we remember those who gave their lives for this country, and we try to keep their memory alive. Veterans Day is to remember those who came home, the veterans that are here and that are still serving. And we try to honor them at that time as well.
Now I have before me a gentleman that'd like to answer the question, what does Veterans Day mean to you? If you would state your name and your branch of service, I'd really appreciate it.
Bill Swetke, United States Air Force. And Veterans Day is to me a time to reflect on the men and women that I served with and honor their service and the joy that I feel of having spent time with them.
Thank you, sir. And sir, if you'll please state your name, branch of service, where you're from, and why Veterans Day is important to you, please.
My name is Mackie Tillman. I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia. I retired from the military as a colonel, and Veterans Day to me means that we support those people who have served us now and before and will come after us, because they are the ones that have kept our country free.
Thank you. Sir, if you'll please state your name, branch of service, where you're from, and why Veterans Day is important to you, please.
My name is Leonard Sandridge. I was in the U.S. Army. I am from Crozet, Virginia. And Veterans Day to me is a time when we take a moment to reflect on the contributions and the commitment that so many have made to make our country safe and secure. Those that have served on active duty and in the reserves and supported persons who were so serving. So it is an important time to recognize that there are people who have taken time out of their regular lives to serve in order to make our life better.
Thank you, sir. Sir, if you'll please state your name, where you're from, and your branch of service, and answer the question, why is Veterans Day important to you, please?
I am Joseph Garland. I was in the Army with Army Security for my tour of duty. I left the Army and started, I'm an architect, and started a business after that for promotion and marketing. Because of that, the Coast Guard Auxiliary asked me to come to them and ask me to help raise the overall profile of the Coast Guard within the state of Virginia, where I was. I was sworn in again, and they made me a Lieutenant JG, and I spent my time going around setting up organizations to raise the overall profile of the Coast Guard. Now, I might say that I didn't know that there were as many Coast Guard people out there as there were. I can give you stories, but it would take too long. I'll just say that the Coast Guard probably is the less recognized branch of the military. They did not receive what they deserved from World War II on. And I hope you know now, because of some of the work I've done, that there is a Coast Guard here in Virginia, and you should support it. And every time you get a chance to see a Coast Guardman, tell him you are very proud of him.
Thank you. Sir, if you please state your name,
Pat Kelly.
where you're from.
I'm from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, but I live in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Excellent. Your branch of service.
United States Navy.
And if you don't mind answering the question, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day to me means that all veterans share a common bond. If you're a combat veteran, you share a closer bond. And for people who aren't veterans, there's a saying, freedom for those who have fought for it have a meaning that the protected will never know. Veterans Day is an anniversary of the end of World War I. To veterans, it's a special day set aside for them, for living veterans, to recognize and honor their service to the country. And usually there are Veterans Day services in every town in the country on Veterans Day. And Veterans Day is on November the 11th, and it's to celebrate at 11 o'clock because that is when the day and the hour that World War I ended in France in 1918. So I think I have exhausted my knowledge about Veterans Day. I'm proud to be a combat veteran. I'm proud to have served shoulder to shoulder with my other combat veterans.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, if you'd state your name, where you're from, and branch of service, and answer the question, why is Veterans Day important to you, I'd really appreciate it.
My name is Colonel James T. O'Kelly. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina originally, but I now live in Keswick, Virginia. My service was in Vietnam for 3 years. Veterans Day is important to me because it's a time to remember the young men that I served with in Vietnam for 3 years in combat, defending this country. I think that for everyone to remember that what was found on a sentry box in Gibraltar at the end of the war, God and the soldier all men adore in times of trouble and then no more. When the war is over and all things are righted, God is forgotten, the old soldier is slighted. Let that never happen to our veterans, both alive and those who died, protecting our country. As they say, as an old saying goes, for those of us who fought for it, freedom has a sweetness that the protected will never know.
Sir, if you'd state your name, where you're from, branch of service, and answer the question, what does Veterans Day mean to you, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay. I'm Joel Warren from Ruckersville, Virginia. I'm a United States Army veteran. And Veterans Day for me is a day that we can look back and honor and remember all those that have served, as well as all those that are serving right now and are sacrificing their lives to defend and protect our country.
Thank you. And how do we commemorate Veterans Day here locally in Greene County?
In Greene County on Veterans Day, which is the 11th month, 11th day at the 11th hour, we have a ceremony at the courthouse in Greene, which commemorates all those that have served, those that are serving. We have a guest speaker that comes out and speaks about the importance of Veterans Day. And on that day, we honor either a widow or widower of one of the veterans here in the county that has passed recently by presenting them with a flag that's flown that day at the courthouse.
Thank you. Sir, how do we commemorate Veterans Day here locally in Albemarle County?
In the Albemarle, Charlottesville area, we have services both in April here at the Dogwood Vietnam Memorial, where we commemorate the 28 young men who were killed in Vietnam, which you can visit any time, not just in April. We also have a ceremony on November the 11th, usually at the Pavilion in Charlottesville, where we honor the veterans, and all the different organizations bring wreaths, present it, and we have a speaker. This year it's going to be at 2:30 on Sunday at Lane Auditorium because the holiday fell on Sunday and they want to do it after church.
Thank you. And here we have the George Washington and Thomas Jefferson chapters of the Sons of the American Revolution who just presented the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Thank you.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The ceremony that you are about to witness is an Army wreath laying ceremony to be conducted by the Sons of the American Revolution. It is requested that everyone remain silent and standing during this ceremony. All military personnel in uniform will render the hand salute, and it is appropriate for all others to place their right hand over their heart upon the command of present arms. Thank you.
Treason! Off! Order! Off!
My name is Phil Williams. I'm a member of the Sons of the American Revolution, and it's my privilege and opportunity to speak to you today and to help everybody understand the importance of Veterans Day and the Armistice Day which preceded it, and the connection to France in connection with a tour that we took earlier this year. So to begin with, I am reenacting my ancestor, Christopher Delazine, who, apropos of this story, was in fact French by birth. He served 8 years during the American Revolution, became an American citizen, and fought from 1775 until the Army was disbanded in 1783. So, what is the significance of Veterans Day and its relationship to Armistice Day? You've heard from my fellow colleagues, fellow compatriots in the Sons of the American Revolution, all of whom are veterans, of the significance to them of Veterans Day and of the relationship between Veterans Day and Armistice Day. I'd like to draw that connection to Armistice Day a little bit closer. This November, 11th month, 11th day, and the 11th hour, an armistice was signed ending World War I, ending the Great War. In that war, America supplied 2 million soldiers. They tended to be called Sammies or Doughboys, to fight in France. And of those 2 million, more than 116,000 died in that battle, fighting for the freedom of Western Europe and France in particular. Many of them are buried in the graves that you've seen already in this video. So this is an especially important year to commemorate the ending of World War I. And in connection with that, our French brothers from the French Society, Sons of the American Revolution, who are descendant from people like Rochambeau and Lafayette, who served, many of whom died in the cause of American freedom, decided to invite their American counterparts to France this past June to commemorate the centennial of the armistice and of the American contribution to the freedom of France in both World War I and subsequently in World War II. We, as the American Sons of the American Revolution, accepted that invitation with pleasure. Not basically because the French wanted to say thank you to America for the sacrifices it made on their behalf. And we accepted because we wanted to say thank you for the sacrifices the French made in the founding of this country during the American Revolution. So that is why this day is so significant. And it's also important that all of you remember, whether you served or you didn't serve, this country has remained free because some people have been willing to answer the call to put on a uniform to protect this country, its safety, and the freedoms of the Western world. We can never take that for granted. Some have returned. We honor them as veterans then, now, and in the future. Some have not returned, and some will not return. We must never forget the sacrifice they made for this country, the land of the free and the home of the brave, and as we said in the American Revolution, huzzah!